I don't know. I think Aaron's broken up with me.
Uh-oh.
He's moving, and I'm just going to make a whole bunch of assumptions and jump to a bunch of conclusions that Aaron's upset with me. He's mad at me. I don't know what I've done.
He hasn't been very active on the group text, and I'm assuming it's because he's upset, not because he has a good reason to not
Yeah.
be active on the group text.
No, he's definitely upset and mad at us.
Yeah.
And, potentially, he's probably finding a good excuse to leave the podcast or something like that. That's really probably what he's doing.
Yeah.
Is, not the fact that he's, moving or packing up the house or, a newborn or anything like that. Like, whatever.
He's busy growing his hair out is what he's doing.
Yeah. Well, it sure ain't the beard.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody.
Yeah.
Appreciate you joining us. Dude, I'm not even going to intro what you were just talking about before we hit record. So I wanna go ahead and hand it over to you, and then let's riff on it.
All right. Well, so there are things that bother me, right? And comments typically don't bother me, but we got a comment the other day and it said something to the effect of, you guys can't like give advice, or why would anybody listen? Like, I don't know, something to like we shouldn't be giving advice, or our advice is useless because we're part of this elite 10% or whatever of this part of the military. And I corrected him and said we're actually the 1% of the 1%, so don't worry about it. But I was just having a good time. But like I don't understand that idea that just because we are different than you, that our advice would be somehow invalid, or we wouldn't understand how to give good advice for other situations, and vice versa. Like, my advice is not better or worse than anybody else's that doesn't do, the same type of job that I do, right? So I don't know, it just bothered me. And then like the whole elite thing, right? And that really got me going this morning. I was just thinking about it. What does elite mean? And why would you bring that up? And why do people call us that sometimes? And why does it bother me sometimes when people call me that? You know what I mean? It's one of those weird things that's kind of circular and got me all riled up this morning.
Well, I got to be kind of transparent. Like, I don't like the word elite. I get it, and there's people start to notice that there's a lot of words that I don't like, and I don't know. And it's due to the military tends to overuse it, and society tends to overuse a word. So, you get elite thrown around quite a bit, and then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, okay, well, it's kind of like throwing out SOF or special operations or whatever. It's just like, hey, after 9/11, everybody became special operations, I guess. So,
yeah,
that's just kind of, so when you start using elite, that's where I start going with that, and it's like, well, that's kind of a bummer. But I mean, statistically, you're right. Yeah, it is less than 1%. I guess I would go to specifically to that comment is, so you're telling me that somebody like Dr. Preston Klein, who has never done what we do, right, that he cannot provide expert knowledge and expert, guidance in the way that we do things with our pipeline, the way we do things on team training, the way we do academics and syllabus at the weapons school. You're telling me that because he hasn't gone through any of those, that he can't provide any kind of expertise to that. To which then you take people like us who have gone through the pipeline, who have been on team, who have done things that we see and know that needs to be required of you or expected of you, that then we can't provide advice.
I think the comment was actually saying the opposite. I think the comment was saying,
maybe I'm
for
so
you
I
guys
didn't
it's
see
easy.
the comment.
Yeah, I think for him it was like, I think he commented on like the hot dog hole thing. It's like, oh, well, it's easy for you guys to like, you're the top whatever guys in the Air Force, and so like you're trying to give like advice to the general public, like you can't do that because you wouldn't understand what it's like to be a normal person. And I'm like, bro, like I don't think you understand what this is that we are part of. And then you make all these assumptions about our career fields too, like, oh, like we're like, yeah, so we're the 1%, right? But how many people really want to do these jobs? Like,
Not many.
Yeah.
I mean, not like what are we shipping? I'd have to go back. What do we ship annually? It's like what, 2000? I mean, in terms of aspect war, what, 2,000 people? I think
Maybe like 1,000 people.
maybe okay, 1,000 people. Like so, 1,000 people a year. That that's the people that want to do the job. That's not how many people make it, and that's not turning people away. Yeah, we turn people away for medical stuff, crimes. There are a whole bunch of different reasons why we turn people away. So sure, there are more people that want to do the job than are are shipping, but man, I don't know.
Well, it's just like why wouldn't I understand the general public? Like what and I think that is the divisive, nature of the comment that bothered me. Like somehow I think I'm better than and he didn't say this, but this is in my brain. Like somehow I think I'm better than other members of the military, right? Or somehow I think being good at this job is more important than being good at other jobs. It's like, no, bro, like this job for me was the most fulfilling way to spend my 20 years in the Air Force, because it ticked all my boxes and scratched all my itches. But like, I don't think that what I did was necessarily more important or that I was like elite above the person that's really good at finance. Like,
No,
because to be good at their job is super hard too. It's a different thing.
yeah, that's also to say that that goes along with the hey, you're just built different. You were born different. Like uh, it, I'm no different, and you're no different than anybody else that's out there. It's a matter of how bad do you want it? How much did you train? How much did you prepare? There probably is some aspects of what was your childhood like in terms of resiliency and struggle and stuff like that. But with that said, like I've been pretty open about my childhood and how amazing it was. Like I had a fantastic uh, upbringing. I didn't get everything I wanted by any means. But when I look back at it, I go, well, I think I was spoiled. But at the same time, like again, I didn't get everything that I wanted. But I didn't, my parents, my family was intact. Me and my brother fought like normal, siblings do.
Yeah.
And but then when we go to some of these recruiting events and you start talking to people, you see people that actually have no kidding struggle. There was the one guy that was in Tampa that was no kidding homeless, living under a bridge, and was still coming to development sessions and still doing. And then he shipped and changed the trajectory of his life. Now I don't think he made it through the pipeline if I remember right, but you know that
Yeah.
person and many others deal with struggle throughout their entire childhood, which helps mold and shape them, and probably a certain level of resiliency, just like I had. But they didn't make it. I made it. Like I don't know. I don't know what that is, or
I, I,
what that one thing is.
I don't know. Well, and the jobs are different. Like, and we've talked about this so many times. It's like, these jobs are difficult up front because you need to be at a certain physical level and certain other things right away, right? Like, we don't have like the first 5 years of your career to mold you into the next thing. And it's not that this job means something different. It's just that there are fewer people that want to do the job. There are fewer people capable of doing the job, and that doesn't mean that it's that other things aren't hard. Like, and so like you get the extra pays and all these other things just because maths, right? Like we need some people that can do this. We found out that there's not that many people that can do this. So we were going to incentivize them because the job is it takes a toll on all those other things. That's not to say that other jobs don't do the same thing. And it's just if we were having a really hard time finding female folks, like they just didn't exist, like for some reason, like that characteristic to be able to look at those tiny measurements and do that thing only existed within like 3% of the population, then we would dump a whole bunch of money into trying to get more of those folks into the Air Force, and they would get more bonuses, especially if like for some reason human beings like looking at tiny measurements it drove them insane, or they all ended up you know getting kicked out for psych reasons and all these other things. But
I don't know. I guess since I didn't see the comment, or maybe because I probably would have overlooked that comment and not even realized what it was actually saying.
oh well, I sent it. I mean, you know how like sometimes I'll like
Yeah.
send stuff to you guys, but just because I thought it was, I was trying to be funny. I'm like, actually, it's the 1%. that we are, because I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna get upset at this person being like, "No, you don't know," like, why would people listen to you guys or something like you can't relate to like a normal human being, and it's like,
But we are
okay,
normal. We are
like,
normal human beings. That's the thing. There's no to for the folks that think that we're not out there struggling to work out, to get up and train and talk ourselves into training, or that there are mornings that we don't wake up and just like, oh, last thing I want to do is go jack steel, or the last thing I want to do is go for a run, or like that happens every single day. Maybe not every single day, but it happens frequently. It just,
yeah,
you know, guess what? David Goggins, who most people think is a freak of nature and not normal, also struggles with that kind of motivation.
oh,
And he's been open and honest about it. But of course, you only see, because of social media, you're only seeing the highlight reels. So, you know, I'm not gonna put my I'm not gonna be like a nurse and put my phone up and videotape myself talking myself into going for a run. Like, I'm not gonna do that.
yeah,
So those are the things that you don't see. You just see, okay, here was the run, here was the workout, which I don't even do that. But still,
yeah, I don't.
there's not a matter of being, well, we just built different. That's not a thing.
Well, I think the end result is something different, right? Like you being able to do that is kind of rare in our society right now. And I think I did want to talk about that. Like, I think one of the things that we try to do here is be that connective tissue between like where we ended up at, where you ended up at. I'm still a POS. And then like how you got there, right? Like so like that was my next thing that I wanted to talk about. Really, is like like how do you start something if you're 16, 17 years old out there, 35 years old out there, maybe a little overweight, maybe it never worked out, or you have something that you want to do, but the end goal seems so far away. Like, how do you get yourself to get over, the myriad of anxieties and all these other things that you have to do just to get started, and take that first step for real?
Um, okay. I think you got to get out of your own way. You got to stop worrying about what other people think about you. You got to stop being, guess what? If you're that overweight person that's in the gym, you're still in the gym. You're still doing better than the person that's sitting on their ass or online judging you. You are already better, or at least getting, moving forward. And that's so if people are clowning you for doing that, for being in the gym and you're being overweight, who cares? You're still in there and you're getting after it and you're doing something about it. They're the ones with the issue, not you. Two is you just got to do it, and it's going to be daunting because it seems like this unsurmountable task that you're about to do. But that saying, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? Same kind of thing. How do we tell people, how do you tackle this 2.5 year pipeline where you're seemingly getting waterboarded and tortured every freaking day? I think you're getting a chance to work out and train, but whatever. Some people have different opinions. You know, you don't look at the whole pipeline as a 2.5 year pipeline. You go, okay, well, I got to knock out basic training. Okay, so even while you're within basic training, okay, well, I got to do this block of instruction. Okay, I've done all that. I've broken it down into little pieces. Now I'm going to SWIC. Okay, SWIC is 8 weeks long. Okay, well, 8 weeks seems like a long time. So let me go ahead and break that down into very small pieces. Okay, morning session is going to be, a ruck, a run, grass and gorilla drills, whatever it happens to be. Okay, in the afternoon, we have a 4 hour pool session. Okay, so within that 4 hour pool session, I know that we're going to have underwaters, mask and snorkel recovery, ditch and dawn, drown proofing, knot tying, fin swimming, whatever it happens to be. Okay, well, let me just get through these underwaters. Okay, cool. Done with the underwaters. Now let me get to mask and snorkel recovery. Okay, we're going to do that. And then you break it up. So you're taking this just enormous thing that is overwhelming and would be overwhelming to anybody, and you're breaking it down into something that's a little bit more digestible. Like, those that I think are the starting points of that. And you know what? If you need to hop on YouTube and get some motivation, or you need to listen to some music to get you motivation, or if it's listening to us, I don't think we're great motivation for that, but like, there's some channels that'll give you quick little 2 minute snippets of just some motivation that you're like, hell yeah, okay, cool. And if you
We
need
should
that
we should
top
do an
up every
hour
day,
long a podcast where we just were like, count to 0. You piece of crap. Try harder. Stop resting.
Get up. Yeah. So it's fine if it is perfectly normal to lack motivation for every single person, but that's where the dedication comes in, and that's where the discipline comes in, and you taking ownership of your own journey. Because if you have discipline, the whole working out no longer becomes a decision. So you're alleviating that out of your decision matrix as it is. I'm getting up. If you're a morning routine person, um, you get up and you don't question it. You just go. That and guess what? There are days that you're going to miss. There are days where it's like, dude, I got in off a late flight. I'm I need to catch up on sleep because my sleep debt is just insane, which has been me lately. So sleep in, but get something in during the day. And there will be days which you miss it too because something happens or something goes wrong at work. That's okay. If you miss a day, if you miss 2 days, that's fine. Just start again.
Yeah.
Just keep going. It's not the end of the world to miss a couple days. Well, I went on a rant there.
No, it's fantastic. It's exactly what we needed to save this podcast that I'm trying to butcher. A few things, right? Like you, to put it in another way, like church isn't for perfect people, right? It's always, and this is the way I view the gym now, is like, the church is for sinners. You don't go to church because you're a perfect person. No one goes to the gym because they're like in the best shape in the world and they're not working on something. It's just everybody working on something. And then also, I know for me, the first time I went to a gym, I was like scrawny little kid, like, and you're just like, man, like, I don't even know where to start. And in your mind, like, you think, because you're young and you're a narcissist, or at least I was, you're like, people are going to look at me and they're going to be judging me and making fun of me. Um, no one has ever made fun of me that wasn't a good friend of mine in the gym. Like, well, once you're on team and you have friends and all this other thing, it's a different story. The gym can be, an extension of the team room in the most positive way. But I've never had someone. I don't think I've ever seen anybody get mocked or made fun of in a gym before. I've seen people get frustrated with people that are using like 6 machines or
Yeah.
like the entire weight rack at once. But it's such a weird place where it's like there's typically a lot of courtesy and a lot of people like when. And I've watched other dudes that I see at the gym on a regular basis. Like when someone walks in, they've never been there before, and they're like overweight or whatever, and it's their first day. Like I've seen it on other people's faces. That's the same thing that I'm thinking. Like, oh man, like is this day one? Like, good on this person for
Yeah.
coming in here. Like I'm not gonna I'm not trying to bother them. I'm not gonna stare at them, but like I'm happy that you're here. Like get to it.
Mm-hmm.
In a year, I hope that we are fighting over the dumbbells or the trap bar, whatever it is. Um, but good on you. It's just like church, right? Like when you show up to church for the first time, if it's a good church and not something crazy, people are so excited to see you. Like, oh, welcome to your spiritual journey or whatever. Like that's the gym can be your church in that way, and there's a lot of positive aspects.
Yeah, and I think you'd be surprised the amount of people that would celebrate you being there and celebrate your victories in the gym. Like, you know, I, I'm telling you, yeah, sure, there are some shitty people out there that are probably going to judge you, but again, that's their problem, not yours. That's their insecurities, not yours.
Yeah,
Most
yeah,
people are going to see you in the gym if you're overweight or you're out of shape or you're, pasty white like I am, and you decide to take your shirt off. They're going to be like, dude, that's what's going to be funny. Somebody's going to run into me one day, whether it's at the CrossFit gym or whether it's at a deep end fitness event or a painkiller event or something like that, and they're going to go, dude, what's up, dad bod? Like, you know, and I'm be like, well, yeah, man, I'm fucking, been doing this for 25 years. I'm a little bit, I do what I can, but I'm not what the physical specimen that I used to be. And, you know,
well,
I'm going to be like,
you're
wow,
not a
boy, that's disappointing.
you're not a bodybuilder. You're not entering fitness competitions, or like, physique competitions. It's you're a performance guy and a competitive guy. And that's one of the other things too is people I know before I joined the military, one of the things in my head was, well, I'm not the type of person that they're looking for, you know. And I thought about this yesterday because you and I were going back and forth on text a little bit about how you love like competitions
Hmm.
and how I don't. like these like tough mutters and all these other weird things that you enjoy doing. It just never appealed to me. Like I'll do like monster mashes in the military. Like I did all those things, and
Oh,
I
I
enjoy
love
winning,
those.
but like I'm not waking up one day and just being like, I'm gonna pay extra money to go do this. It's just not in my psyche. But from the outside looking in, like when I was younger, and you see the movies and you hear about, special operations and all those different types of things. I was just like, I don't think that I'm the kind of person that they would want. Like I don't think I fit that mold. Um, and I know like and this brings me back to like our first disagreement on the podcast ever when I said that it, I would have cross trained into Sauti regardless. And it's not necessarily that I wasn't physically ready because I think I had the tools. It's just because I didn't have the self confidence
Mm.
to do it at the time. You know what I mean? And it took some time in the military to like really build that up and to see things and to be like, oh, like I don't belong here, so I probably belong at the other place, which I didn't want to do this thing. I want to do somewhere else because it's not better. It's different.
What was that lack of self-confidence rooted in, you think?
I think it's just everybody, right? Like you I think there's you I don't know. Special operations is cool, man. When I was a kid, and
Mm.
but I was always small. I was never big, right? And I could run. But even before I even signed up to do the Air Force, right? Like I remember, and this is kind of where my confidence started. Like I wasn't never good at like push-ups, and then after I signed my paperwork and I was in depth to just join the regular Air Force, I was like, man, like I got to do something. Started doing push-ups every night. And before I know it, like it took a few months, but like I'm doing like 2 sets of 80 push-ups every single night. And it's like, oh, this is how this works. And so by the time I joined the Air Force, I think I was already tracking in that direction. And then you start competing with the folks in your basic training flight. You're like, okay, like I'm definitely not average here. And then you go into like weather tech school and it's like I'm not average here. And so like, and then you get that stupid briefing where the guy's like, "Do you want to do more physically demanding things and get yourself killed?" You're like, "Yes, I
And
think
get yourself killed.
I think you found me." Like, I think like, but the confidence doesn't come until you actually start, and I think that's why learning how to start is so important.
Yeah, well, that goes into that resiliency is just being willing to start, learning that it is okay to start from the bottom, even if you are, if say you're older, right? You didn't play sports in high school, you didn't play sports growing up, you were overweight or you were whatever, you just maybe not overweight, you just weren't a very physical person. Then start today. You can do that. And if you're not, say you're in college, you're in your 20s and you're not fit, you can barely do 15 push-ups and you're wanting to come and do whatever job in the Air Force or Air Force Special Warfare, start today and you start gradually going and you can get there. You really can get there. It may take you a year, it might take you 2 years, but you can get to where you want to be. You just got to start. There's actually a really good book by I like it anyway. I don't know if it's really good, but John Acuff has a book called Start, and it is literally talking about this. I can't remember if I put it on our reading list or not, but John Acuff Start, and it talks just like this, and it's I enjoyed it, just because it kind of gives you other perspectives that he talks about, but you just gotta start doing it. You just gotta get with it. Stop worrying about what other people think,
Yep.
because what they think doesn't really matter. What we think doesn't really matter.
Well, and I think some expectations for your journey, right, as well. I think are important. Like we obviously I hang out with a bunch of other parents that are raising kids around the same age as my kids, right? It's just how it works. Once you have kids, you end up making friends with their, friends, parents, and all this other stuff. But one of the things that you realize is kids don't stay trained just because you train them once. Like
No.
there's this like life cycle of children where it's like, hey, like one day you might wake up and your kids clean their room, they flush the toilet, they do their homework, and you're like, dude, we made it. We are here. Like I am done. we're moving forward. And then 2 weeks later, it's all fallen to pieces. Guess the kids changed. Like something changed in the dynamic. And I think that's one of the things to realize is even if you go to the gym the first time, even if you get that rhythm going, even if you start getting that confidence, you will still have to deal with like that roller coaster of not always being confident, of constantly questioning yourself, of something, you know hitting you the wrong way, and you being like, man, I still don't know if I'm the right person. Like I was very confident in my decision yesterday, but today I'm questioning, like, do I still really want Air Force Special Warfare? So you're going to go on that roller coaster ride,
Hmm.
but just keep consistently grinding, and then you'll find that you end up in the place that you're supposed to be.
Yeah. So what you're talking about, the way I articulate that is it's days of doubt. There are going to be days that you doubt not not whether or not you're going to be able to do it, but maybe or not, is this the right decision? Is this the right thing to do? Um, and you're guess what? If it's the Air Force or not, if it's special warfare or not, you could be you could be, is college the right person for me? Is leaving college the right not the right person? Is going to college the right path for me? Is leaving college the right path for me? Is joining the Air Force right out of high school, is that right? Is going to be a cop or a firefighter or a lawyer or medical career field or whatever it is, or is this the right path for me? And nobody really knows that. And it's also not forever. Say it is joining the Air Force. It's only 4 year enlistment. Now, if you're making it through the pipeline, then you're probably going to have to be required to do a 6 year after, at a certain point. But I know for a high school student or for somebody who's young, 4 years, the sound of 4 years of your life sounds like a long time.
It
6 years
is.
of your life sounds like a long time. I'm here to tell you it ain't. And it only feels like that because you are so young, and you look at 4 years being okay, ninth grade through 12th grade, freshman through senior. Wow, that was a long time. Yeah, for you, because that was a lot of growth, a lot of development, a lot of experiences, and that kind of stuff. So it seems like a very long time. Dude, I've lived in Vegas now for 2 years. Went like that, like at this assignment. I cannot believe it. And that's what you're going to find is you're going to find that as you get older, things start flying by, and
Yeah.
you're only you're investing, and it's not a waste. That is the one thing that all the training you put into it. Say you're training your ass off, and you're in development for a year, you're in depth for a year, which is really the longest you can do it. And you go into the Air Force and you don't make it, like you fail or you quit or whatever it is. And then you decide, well, I'm not going back. I'm just going to do my 4 years and get out. That was not a waste of time. That was an investment in yourself, because you are a very different person now at the end of that 4 years than you were beforehand. And all of that, even if it was like you hated it, you didn't have a great experience in the Air Force, or like whatever, maybe you ended up being whatever the worst possible job you could think of, you were still better off at the end of those 4 years than you were before you started.
Well, it's a choice, right? And I think that that binary mindset gets a lot of people. And I hear people talk like this, as adults and everything, like, oh, like, is this the right thing to do? I'm like, no, 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 no. It's like this is not a black and white thing that we're doing. This life, there's no right and wrong. Like, oh, is this, like, and when you break it down into only two options, it's like, no, 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 no. Like, this is if like you said, spread it out on the timeline. Like, is this an experience that is going to be valuable? Can I learn something from this? And I think, like changing that mindset to being an experience chaser, versus, trying to like make sure that my life goes perfectly the way it should, like that very, my life has to go this way. And like, I don't want to make mistakes, and I don't want to do the wrong thing, and I don't want to end up in the wrong like profession. Like you're stuck there forever.
Yeah.
It's like, hey man, like this isn't communist China yet. Like you can do a lot of different things in your life and your career. And so like work your mind around that to operate more in the gray area, and understand that the experiences, um they transfer, like, and growth as a person is growth as a person, no matter the environment that you're in. And so stop thinking that there's a right and a wrong way to live your life.
Yeah.
Obviously there are bad things.
Yeah.
Don't start murdering innocent people, but like, uh,
I like how
let's
you put just innocent people. Like I'm here for that.
let's not murder if they're not innocent.
I'm with you. I'm on board. Like
It might be homicide, but
I'm not talking homicide. I'm not talking manslaughter. I'm just talking, there
yeah,
are bad
wood
people in the
chippers.
world.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
great. That clip's going to come back to haunt me later on if something ever happens.
maybe. Don't you get the one PTSD card? Be like, I don't know, I snapped. I get one get out of jail free card.
Don't know what to do with my hands.
I'll be a character witness for you. I'll be like, no, that dude,
Yeah.
we saw that he was going to snap for a long time. So he wouldn't let us use therapy words. He wouldn't, do all these other things with us. And, it finally
Therapy
got
words.
to him. Yeah. He finally broke.
Wonder if there's any therapists. There's definitely no therapists out there that are listening to us because they tuned off a long, long time ago. Like not
He-
this episode. I'm talking like a long time ago. But
He's
man,
got more.
therapy words are just some of the most toxic things now. And toxic is a therapy word.
Do you know what's not toxic? Cardomax.
Oh,
You don't wonder what's in my
Cardomax
cup
is
right
not.
here?
Oh,
It's Cardomax.
man,
It's fantastic.
what are you doing to me?
Yeah.
Cardomax. So they've got the immune booster, they've got hydration, they've got caffeine, everything in those little packets to get your mind right. Great flavors. I love that wave lemonade now too,
I haven't tried that one yet.
dude. It's the like lime green and pink packet. Oh yeah, it's money.
The Wave Crusher?
Yeah, that's what it is. What did I
Okay.
say?
It says something about lemonade.
Oh, I thought, well, what? Dude,
Weird.
it's like 7:30 in the morning
See,
right
folks,
now.
he's about to snap.
Yeah.
He's on the edge.
But yeah, it's great stuff. Sean Matson over there at Cardomax doing great things. Um, Easy to travel with. Get your game up with some caffeine, some immune booster, and then some hydration stuff. And again, great for on the road. Great for anytime, really, but definitely on the road just because I've been traveling a lot. So I've got a whole packet of it in my backpack just in case. And I actually need to do a resupply because it's been a little bit. But
Yep.
Cardomax.com, promo code One's Ready will get yourself a discount.
Yep.
Giggity.
Everything you need. I love the caffeine, and every night it's part of my routine. Cardomax legit is part of my life routine now. Like, I use the caffeine, and then also before I go to bed at night, everybody recently discovered that magnesium is like a thing that you need, and that guess what's in the hydration packets, So I drink those before I go to bed at night, and it helps with everything.
Yeah, they do help with everything. You know what
You're
else helps with everything and your readiness is 18 Alpha Fitness.
Dude,
Kevin Edgerton.
Kev's the like when you meet someone and you're like, you're just a great coach. Like you get it, When I met Kevin, you could tell that the man walks the walk. He's everything that I wasn't as a coach and cadre member, right? Like he does what he's supposed to do. He understands why we're doing everything that he's asking you to do. And he's been there and he's done it. And also he's a very flexible person, like if a new thing comes on and onto the scene, he will evaluate it, look at it, and put that stuff into the workouts as they relate to whatever you're trying to do. So if you're trying to join, any of the SOCOM based, military specialties, Kevin's got a program for you, and his success rate is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, that to go find him and sign up for his plans and stuff like that, go to 18A. That's 18afitness.com. Use the promo code the number one and then ready, and you get yourself a discount. I think he's giving a 10% discount for that code.
Whatever it is, just let him know that we sent you. Put in the code so that Kevin knows you came from here.
And
Because I
he's
really
also
want Kevin
somebody.
to love me.
Yeah.
I need that in my life.
Speaking of insecurity. But I mean, he's also invested in the youth, like I know that he's big on the ROTC folks that are local to San Antonio, helping them with, not just sponsorship stuff, but also, uh, fitness routines, fitness regimes, that kind of stuff, especially as they go to competitions and all that kind of good stuff.
Yep. And one of the things that Kevin's really good at is like the mobility stuff, right? Is making sure that your body has the correct range of motion and is working the way it's supposed to because of, and you got to look at Kevin's bio because it's, I know we're going long on this, but like I love
That's all
Kevin,
right.
but like all the stuff that he understands about your body because of all the schools that he's been to and all these other things. He's not just a strength conditioning coach, he's everything. And so like I'm telling you as a 40 something year old dude sitting here with my back hurting today, like if you can get on that mobility train early, it'll save you a lot of pain and heartache in your future.
But that's a common thing that we've seen with a lot of these. Your Taylor, especially Taylor Starch.
Yeah.
God, what a great freaking dude. You know, your Travis Barrett, your M's, your Valkyrie projects, your all those kind of fitness level folks. I'm pretty sure Aaron May even mentioned it as a developer, but talk about mobility and it's not the sexy kind of stuff. Stu Smith does every Wednesday he does mobility. Like I think
Mhm.
that's all he does on a Wednesday is mobility. So everybody's doing it, man. Just get you some.
R.I.P. Toby Keith.
Yeah. Was that a Toby Keith thing?
The "Get You Some"
Is
song.
it?
Yeah.
Nah, not Toby Keith. That's my thing. It's
Okay.
my thing. No.
Toby's gone. Now it's Jared's
Toby's
thing.
gone. Him and his red solo cup.
Oh, it was kind of sad, but it's whatever. Do
Yeah.
you know, Stu Smith and Sean Matz and all those guys didn't do when they left the Navy or the military? They didn't
Mm.
start those camps where they scream at people.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know you were going to go into this. Okay. Yeah. Um, no, they definitely did not do that. That is an interesting thing that a lot of the military community has been talking about recently. I've seen several videos on it. I know Angry Cops just did one. Um, Drinking Bros hasn't talked about it yet, but that Navy dude, that Nikki or whatever, he
Uh,
talked about it. It's kind of a wild little thing that okay, so first off, those videos that are brought out, I like it's nuts. I I've never seen somebody bust out a knife and start slamming it on a table, and I was just waiting for him to go too far and like jack it into his freaking eye. You know what I'm talking about? Oh no. I can still see you.
we're good. And then
Well,
we started talking
apparently
about
we're
that
not good.
thing. Yeah,
Jeez,
they,
yeah.
they did
Okay,
not want us to
so
talk about that.
I'll edit that on the backside, hopefully. Or did I lose you again?
No, I think your Wi-Fi is seasoning
Okay.
because you're
Yeah, I'll
showing
fix.
us, at least on my end, you're like at 30%, and so it's just like
Yeah.
trying to get there.
Okay. All right. I might need to go reset my routers later on today. Okay, cool. Well, I'll fix that in post. Sorry about that, everybody. Hopefully everything's good. We'll find out. Anyway,
There's
talking
like a
about
full minute of video of me just staring.
that's because you were still in shock and awe about the military groups. What were we calling them? Hell day groups or Hell week groups or whatever they are.
Men screaming at men, I
Yeah,
think is what I call
the
them.
alpha male groups or whatever they're called. Anyway, yeah, I was talking about how that one video of the guy that's got the knife out and he's slamming it on the table, and I was just waiting for the freaking the K bar or whatever he had to go right back into his freaking jaw. Like,
Yep. I
man.
just
So there's been some people that on both sides of it that agree with it, don't agree with it. Here's where I'm at. I think you've got a vet who's actually doing that. At the same time, like people are like, well, if you want, the other side of it is people go, if you want to do that, then join the military. Well, guess what? A lot of these folks that are paying this $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 to do this, they're established, they're entrepreneurs, they're doing other things. That ship has sailed, or maybe they did try and they couldn't get medically or whatever. So they're doing this. That's their money. What do you care? Like seriously, what do you care? They want that experience. That it's unrealistic to go, oh well, you should just join the military. Okay? Like maybe they tried, maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But they're at a point in their lives where they can't. So this is the next best thing for them. It's the same thing with me going and running Spartan Racer or Tough Mudders or doing competitions. Listen, I'm never going to be a professional runner, CrossFit athlete, or whatever like that, right? I'm just not. But I still enjoy the competitions. I still do it. Does that mean that those guys shouldn't? Now, flipping that, when you start portraying yourself as somebody you're not to then get money out of people or provide a service. You're still providing a service. So I'm not taking that away. You're providing a service, but you are also portraying yourself as somebody you probably aren't.
I don't know. I haven't looked into the especially that one, the guy that's becoming like infamous with the knife. And I think there was
Yeah.
another video where he like grabbed somebody and was
Yeah.
like moving them around and stuff. Like I don't know what his background is. Um I don't really care. I'm like, and it's easy to like sit here and to throw rocks and to be like, this is stupid because it is ridiculous. But I think I would need to know like what's the purpose and what does the customer want? Like you bring up a good point, right? Like if those customers are like, I want you to like scream at me and tell me like that they have like this weird, almost fetish thing about I need another man to scream and yell at me, even though like the classroom one killed me because it didn't look like they'd done anything wrong yet. It's just this dude throwing a temper tantrum.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, like I don't want to say like I don't think I'm ever gonna do one of those things. I never say never, which is because my life has proven that if I say I'm never gonna do something, then it's
You end
definitely
up
gonna
doing it.
happen. So like I can't say it. Um but like what's the purpose of it? Like what are the folks trying to get out of it and what's the best way to get after it, right? So like I'm obviously like I'm biased because of the number of years that I was an instructor and how I think I have, a pretty good tool set to get people to where they need to be. And it's just, screaming at people and telling them that like 90% of you aren't going to be here on day 3 or blah, blah, blah. And like slamming your knife on the ground and doing things that seem less than professional to me. I'm like, are you
Yeah.
trying to create professionals or are you trying to just, scream at people? Like, it's just not a very professional way to go about your business. There's a time and a place where I have, obviously I've screamed at candidates and I've done a bunch of different things. But I would never wave a knife around, like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
It's
uh,
yeah. And so full disclosure, like you're what's circulating around and everything I've seen is just from a video clip. So I don't know what happened beforehand. I don't know what happened afterwards. Just solely based off of that clip seems a bit odd to me. Um, but again, like, man, people are paying it, whatever, if that's their thing. And maybe it's not even a fetish type thing. Maybe it's just like, man, I've spent the first 35 years of my life
yeah.
and I don't feel like I've ever been tested and I need to validate myself. And I see all these, you know, people that are doing very difficult things online, on social media, and I need to see if I could stand a couple days of that.
Yeah.
And this
No,
is the
I
this
get
is
it.
the best way to do it. Like it sounds like I'm defending them. I'm just trying to see it from both sides, and the cadre are just providing a service. Like there's obviously a need here or a demand. I think that is waning, and I think there's different ways you could do it. And I agree with you with the yelling and the professionalism. Like some of the most difficult instructors that I dealt with were not the ones that screamed at me. They were the Ron Mans, that just, okay, well, you're going to go subsurface and you're going to go to that wall. And if you pop, we're going to keep doing it all day long. And the rest of your team is going to suffer. You have 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And that was like, oh my God. Same amount of, okay, yeah, somebody's screaming at me. At that point, when I'm already hypoxic and stuff, like it's, yeah, okay, dude, you can scream at me, whatever. I'm getting focused. I'm worried about this. But when you start telling me that the rest of the team's gonna pay, man,
Yeah.
oof.
That calm voice can cut through, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
because you get accustomed to all the screaming and yelling and the noise. And it's funny because you can see when the students get to that point where the chaos doesn't bother them anymore. And then you bring in the calm, focused conversation, and they're like, it's just a
Uh-oh.
new thing. And they're like, oh
Mm-hmm.
no. It's like, hey,
Yep.
here's the reality. We're going to do this until you get it right. Either you're going to quit or everybody's going to drown for the rest of the day until you get it right. It's like, yeah, and then that's all it is. Like, it's so black and white and just, like, clear, and he does not care. Like, he's like, "This is the standard. It's on
Mm-hmm.
the paper. This is what we're doing." And you know that he's not lying to you. He's not being hyperbolic. He's not being crazy.
No,
He's just like, "This is what we're doing." And it's a terrifying thing to just run up against the standard like that in a very calm way.
we will continue to do this until we get one quitter.
Yep.
One's ready. Go. You're like, oh God.
One. Yeah.
Like, and we will keep doing it.
Well, and I think that's what bothers me about those videos, right? And like you said, they're just clips, but the because they are somehow associated with our community,
Yeah.
like the special operations guy comes in there, with the beard and the tats and the anger, and I'm just like, guys, we don't need to perpetuate this stereotype of who we are. Like, and especially like that dude, I don't know, is he our age or older?
I think
He
he's our
looks it.
age.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, he wasn't in our community.
Whatever. Yeah. So
But like I said, that's just from what I understand. I don't know anything about the guy. Maybe he's a really nice guy,
or just the
and
military in
he's just
general.
playing a part.
But there are other ways to get it done, and there's a way to structure your training or whatever curriculum to make it difficult, to give the students what they're searching for without making the military look like a bunch of asshats.
Yeah, it's very true. Very true.
So I
Yeah.
mean, what I mean, I guess what are those students looking for? You know what I mean? Like, because there's we all had that itch. And do you think that when you graduate from one of those courses, whether it's like a few days or a couple weeks, like how long does that whatever they get out of it, how long does it last? You know?
Um, I can tell you from my point of view, it doesn't. Well, one, I don't think it lasts. It doesn't last for me. Um, and I'll equate it to not the pipeline, because I already know that, okay, yeah, it would suck, but whatever. I'm not going to quit. It's not going to be a matter of quitting. It's going to be a matter of whether I can just meet the standard. Like at this point, if you threw me at SWIC or ANS right now, there is no amount of there's nothing that you could do to me that would make me quit. It would just be, could I meet the standard, right?
Right.
Or would I end up getting yanked out of the pool because I passed out? So I'm not worried about that. The validation that I gain and then I lose and that I got to keep topping up from time to time, but I can't top it up, is the, what am I going to do? Like I can't manufacture it, is what I mean. Is what am I going to do when something goes crazy? What am I going to do when there's a firefight? When someone's getting robbed right in front of my face? When there's a vehicle fire and there are people inside the vehicle? When there's a vehicle that's in the ocean, or in it that dumps into a river and I gotta go in and get it? Those kind of scenarios are what I run through my head all the time. And it's like, okay, I have an idea what I'm going to do. Okay, firefight, sure, I'm gonna pull out my everyday carry, I'm gonna go to work. Same with somebody gets robbed. Like I know what I'm going to do in terms of um, action something, right?
Yep.
It's how's it going to turn out? How am I going to perform? That kind of stuff. Like, am I going to perform at my best, or am I going to perform just like, boy, really, really boloed that one, you know? So it's that validation that I need all the time. Maybe not all the time, but I need like a top up, a rehack of that currency.
Yeah.
But unless I manufactured it, which I can't manufacture that, I don't know.
It is weird. Yeah. And it's like and I think that's the thing is like what are you training for? You know, like what are these folks getting after? Are they doing it so they can be a better human in our society? And when things pop off, they're more ready because they have a certain level of stress inoculation at that point?
Hmm.
Or are they the people that like we all know people that have done, one difficult thing and talk about it the rest of their life. And it's like, but you couldn't do that again. Like you totally let yourself go. And it's like, oh
Yeah,
well, back when, whether it was high school or basic training or whatever, like but like I think that's why a lot of us keep training. I think we're because we're like mission focused people, right? Like
yeah,
and you can't turn that part of your brain off, or like I can't. We're like I'm the same way, right? Like in certain areas of town or certain places, or when like those days where people are just driving crazy and you're
yeah,
like, man, like today might be the day. Like, do I have everything I need for like these type of injuries or what I'm expecting if there's a car accident, like and all these other things. And it sounds weird, but it's kind of nice when something actually happens and then you go and perform and you're like, oh, thank goodness I didn't panic. I wasn't out of breath. We did everything correctly. No, I didn't make anything worse.
yeah,
And we performed and we did our job. And like, thank goodness, like I still got it. Um, but like that's what the training is for, right? Like that's why I go to the gym. It's not because there's a lot of reasons, but it's like I got kids. I got to play with my kids. My daughter's getting older. I'm gonna have to beat the brakes off of somebody at some point. In my brain, at least that's how it works.
yeah.
And you got to be ready for anything that's coming. So like I think the whatever the students are getting out of it, whether it's just like hey, I did this once and I want to tell people about it, that's cool. Or are you trying to become like a better or the best version of yourself for society writ large?
Yeah,
I just think
it's
it's
definitely,
difficult for us if you're not like if you're not focused on something, right? Like what's the end result? I think is sorry, I can't wrap my brain around.
well, I mean, that's what I'm struggling with too. It's that continuously being prepared for what could come next. And yeah, okay, so an aspect of it could be, okay, I want to be able to be, protect my family and stuff like that, which is obviously one of those things. I want to be able to protect myself. I want to be able to protect other people, that are out and about. Yeah, part of it is, dude, I don't know that I could, what would happen with that level of guilt if I saw something and didn't do something, or I saw
Mm,
something and I wasn't prepared enough to do something because
yep.
I wasn't physically ready. I wasn't carrying, imagine I came up across somebody who was bleeding from their arms and I didn't have a tourniquet, like, and
Yeah.
now, and that person died because I was not prepared, or there was some kind of firefight or something like that and I wasn't prepared. I just got caught slipping, you know,
Yep.
or I needed to, jump into I mean, just name the scenario. And you're like, dude, I would struggle to forgive myself if I couldn't do something. Now, if I gave everything and it's like, yeah, I needed to freaking deadlift this bus off of somebody, like, okay, well, obviously that ain't happening, right? I
Yeah.
can't prepare for that, but I don't know. It's a weird thing.
Well, it's the blessing and the curse, right? Like you got the problem solver mindset, which is beaten into you. So you know how to solve the problems, or you're gonna find a way no matter what to solve it the best way possible. But like, yeah, I think I just don't know why people are doing this, and maybe I'm misreading all this. Maybe a bunch of these dudes go out and this is just their first step. towards something else. And I'm sure like those folks that spent their own money and all this other stuff to go get screamed at by some dude that made it through some part of the military for a while. Uh, Maybe it's just their first step towards something better. But I think dude with the knife, you could do a lot better. Like your version of whatever you think that you're doing is incorrect. Like you're not doing it wrong, or you could be doing better. Right? Like you could be
Yeah.
making it more impactful for the students. You could be focusing on the important things, which is not that they don't get to stand next to you. Like you're not the mission, bro. Like what are they trying to accomplish? That's the mission. It's not you don't get to be part of my group or my team or whatever. It's like no. Like what do they do with the skill sets that you claim that you have that you're going to pass on to them, and the mindset and all these other things? Like what's the
Yeah, I
point?
mean, imagine the mentorship that guy could give them, actually, like from a positive aspect of, okay, I don't know how long he did in the military. Call it 4 years, call it 6 years, call it 25, whatever. Like the amount of things that he has learned, he could impart on these folks, um, in a nice, calm, while still providing that selection. Like how much teamwork did you learn during the pipeline when you're under that amount of stress? That's it's huge amount of teamwork, a huge amount of, hey, I'm serving other people, I'm caring for those other people, I need to make sure that my teammates are good to go, versus an individual mindset. And that stress helps with that. And for somebody who's not quite getting it in those stressful moments, that's where you can come to them and go, hey, listen, if you do this or you do that, like look at how that changes the dynamic of this situation and how it improves your life and the lives of those around them. And it could be something as simple as that, versus the I'm gonna cut this tattoo off my arm kind of thing. I think that, yeah,
I
I'm
think
pretty
he
sure
did say
that's what he
that.
said.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God.
Ugh. Like and the screaming and yelling is just to get them focused, really,
Yeah.
and to bring reality to the situation.
Yeah.
Um,
And
but
so, like you
yeah,
said, sometimes you got to yell.
yeah,
Sometimes you got to yell to like get people to snap in and like, oh shit. Okay. But,
yeah.
eesh.
But like that's one of those like like I poo pooed the competitions earlier and all that other stuff, but like the monster mashes, like those are the things that you learn, right? Like one of the big lessons that you learn through training is that you can't do everything yourself. Like you literally cannot. Like when the cadre pull up in the truck and they dump all the crap out of the back of the truck, and they're like, you're carrying this for an unknown distance as a team. You have 5 minutes to get ready, and then we're going to set off. It's like you could not carry all that stuff. Like you just don't have enough space for it. Even if you were strong enough, like you don't have
Yeah.
enough arms and legs and shoulders and all that other stuff to carry it. So you got to figure out how to do those things together. And I think that there could be a way where these camps I think are truly beneficial, which I will never do probably. Yeah. Um, but I don't know. I just those videos are killing me. And stop making the rest of the military look stupid, bro. Don't make like I one of the things I always said to my students is don't embarrass me. And what I mean by don't embarrass me is don't embarrass us and don't embarrass yourselves.
Yeah.
So it's a little embarrassing, bro.
Yeah. Fix yourself.
Yeah, be better.
All right. Well, that looks like a good place to end it. I do want to actually reattack that topic whenever we have Aaron on, because I bet Aaron's got some interesting insights to it that would
Aaron,
definitely be able to articulate it better than me.
he's gonna be one or the other. He's either gonna have a lot to say about it, or he's just gonna be like, guys, it's
Yeah,
so stupid.
stupid. What are we doing? Why are we talking about
I don't
this?
want to talk about this.
Yeah, but
Well,
again, he's mad at us, so
assuming he ever comes back, I don't know.
yeah.
He's all up in his feelings right now. He's so grumpy.
All right, everybody, head over to onceready.com, grab some Attack Elite merch, grab some of our merch. Really, if you got that flag behind Trent, you got the shirt that he's wearing, you got a shirt that I'm wearing, you got a couple other pieces to choose from, and then you've got Attack Elite gear. So if you're training for the pipeline, you got fins, ropes, rucks, watches, all that kind of good stuff, masks, and yeah. And then don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and leave us a review because we appreciate you being here. Check out the membership too. Uh, you know, the tiers
Yeah.
aren't that expensive, and it just gives you a little bit more insight into what we're doing. It gives you early access. And then if you sign up for the team tier, which is our highest tier, every 6 months you get a free piece of merch as well as everything else that comes before that. So
There you go. You'll get
giggity.
pro tips like flood your mask in the shower. There you go. That's subscriber type stuff.
I really wish I had a knife right now.
I will cut this tattoo off of me
Yeah.
if you don't do something. I don't know. Whatever.
All right, dude. Everybody out there, have a good one.
Later.